do what you say. This country is supposed to be about the land of the free for all. It has not been free for black people, and we are tired. Don't talk to us about looting. Y'all are the looters. America has looted black people. America looted the Native Americans when they first came here. So looting is what you do. We learned it from you. We learned violence from you. So if you want us to do better, then damn it, you do better.
Death porn on the TV, the best racist warning to the PD, and we still believe we free. There's no black community because we don't own it. The niggas we vote for condone it. Where's our cojones? We own our own kids, time to grow up. Seat at the table shit, it's time to act like Jesus did. Go in this American synagogue and flip them on the tables, begging for reparations. Throw your rapists, stop believing in fables. Most of y'all niggas think fucking white bitches is payback. Never thought I would see the day that black men would support.
Okay, hold on.
What up, though? What up, though? We are back, episode 12. I got Sacha in the house. What's up, Sacha?
What's up, Ramsey?
Cool. So, how's everything been going this week?
Oh my gosh. Like you
Last
said,
couple
it's been lifing.
Yeah, it has been. Hey, so it was my intention to listen to Big Sean, and I still have not gotten around to it. So I will by the next episode, I'll be listening to a whole Big Sean album and tell you what I think.
Okay, that's what's up. And thanks for reminding me because I haven't listened to him like in a while. That's probably the energy I need after the week. That I had.
Look, we had got a question on a comment on the page, and guy asked about moving his I guess some USD coins that he has or something like that, trying to use it to move it to Binance. And I told him I deleted it because I wasn't sure if it was a scam or if it was real. So because the person gave like their like code, like they gave their code, their little code for a Coinbase or for their wallet. They gave the code, and I didn't want that public, so I deleted his message. But I did write a message back to him telling him that I would try to explain how to do it.
Okay, why don't you do that? Because I want to learn too. Like that's the whole area that intimidates me.
So there, I guess the thing is that Binance is another way that you can. It's another smart chain or whatever that you can use. So I don't know much about it, but I do know that you can set up the Binance account, and once you set up the Binance account, from there you have to take the USD out of your wallet. I wrote it down, so that's what I'm looking at. And once you take the USD out your wallet, you have to use your Binance deposit address so that they can transfer over. But if they want to go into really trying to figure that out, they can go on Binance, go to Binance, and Binance will have a better a full explanation. I'm not going to go through the whole thing of how to do it because it was pretty long, but that's just the basics. It's basically setting up the Binance account, making sure you have your new Binance address, going to the wallet that you had the USD in, and moving the USD over to the Binance from there. So it's a little bit more complicated, but they can go on there and do it. I don't really mess with Coinbase, I use Coinbase to buy coins. I know that's probably not the best one to use. I know a lot of the guys that actually do coins, Bitcoins and stuff like that, those digital assets like that, they use different apps or whatever. I use Coinbase, and I have a Coinbase wallet, but I only mess with XRP. And that's the only one I know about. And a lot of people say that's a shit coin, but I don't know. For some reason, I still feel like it may grow over the next few years. So we'll see.
You know what is so crazy? I was going to ask you how you feel about crypto and all of that because I don't know anything about it, but okay. I have a Coinbase account and the only crypto I have is XRP. So now you just made me feel like I'm doing something right.
So XRP, before COVID, they were like, I don't know, 20 cents or something like that. And then they went up to $1 at one point, and then they got into some type of legal stuff with the SEC, and so you couldn't buy no more XRP or sell any more XRP, and so I had it. I couldn't do anything with it because I had to sit on it until their case was over with the SEC. And once their case was over, when the case was over, and when Trump got in office, it went from like 50, 60 cent up to like $3. So right now it's hovering somewhere around $2 to $2.30, depending on what day it is or whatever. But they were always saying that XRP was going to be the next one to blow. I've heard some people say as much as 10,000 per coin, and I've heard some people say 100 per coin, and I heard some people say $10 per coin. So either one of those will net me a profit, and I'll pull out and go from there. But I do have those coins. I do have that coin. I had Doge at one point, and I had another one called Shiba. I got rid of them because I couldn't never really find. Well, Doge, I got rid of that because Tesla kind of messed it up. Yeah, I mean, Elon Musk messed that one up a long time ago, and then Shiba, I just couldn't find much about it. At the time when I got it, I had heard some stuff about it, and I couldn't find no more information about it, so I got rid of it. XRP is the only one I got. I just remember when Bitcoin came out. What was that? 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. And I remember looking at it, and I remember saying, "Man, I should get some of it. It's only like 50 cents," and I never got any. And if I'd have got it, even if I'd have just got one coin, I would have about what $80,000 right now. So I mean, you sometimes you just have to that little bit of money I put in XRP, if it never goes anywhere. I mean it's a McDonald's meal at this point.
I'm so glad you said that because that's exactly how I got into it. I was talking to somebody and they mentioned it and was like, it's going to be worth XYZ if you bought like $100.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it and I said, you know what? A weekend. And then somebody was like, one night, actually. You might spend that in the club. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and put it into something. And I did buy it when it was about like at 280. So it has kind of sucked a little bit to see it at the 230, but I'm in it for the long term. So
yeah, I originally bought it I haven't bought any since it went up to the $2. I originally bought at 50 cents, and then I bought a little bit more around about when it was $1 something. So I made a little bit of money off of it. Nothing considerable. I think I got, I don't know, maybe 500 something coins of it.
okay.
So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I don't have a lot of coins in it, so I bank on stocks a little bit more than believe in the coins. Maybe because I don't know who those businesses are with the coins, but I do know the stocks that I'm investing in.
Yeah. So what is your strategy with stocks? Like, are you more of a like day trader, short term? Like
I'm not a day trader. I don't have the time to day trade. Day trading is a time consuming venture. Some people do it. I have known some firefighters that have done it and have made good money off of it. But the thing is, they know how to do the stop shorts. They know how to do the stop it short or stop it long or however it is. They know how to look at the pips and all that stuff and the little lines and
the candlesticks and all of that.
all that stuff. I haven't taken the time to learn all of that. What I do know is that if you buy stocks that have that pay out dividends, and you buy stocks in I guess what they call blue chip companies that's been around for a long time that probably is not going anywhere and every year pretty much make money, you'll come out on top in the end. I also know, if you don't know much about stocks, that if you get in any of the S&P 500 companies, most likely you're gonna beat inflation every year.
Okay.
So most of those, and some of those S&P funds actually pay a dividend, so you can get that dividend, invest it back into the stock, and when you invest it back into the stock, that's just you buying more fractions of the stock until you get another whole stock. So I roll with it that way. It's not like I got a lot of money in stocks. I got enough.
Right.
I could pull some money out and take care of some business with it if I needed to. But I let it sit and we go from there.
That's crazy. Like that's how I am too. I'm more of a long term because I really don't understand it. The way I even got interested in stuff, I'm not even gonna say interested. The way I got involved is I had a job and it was like kind of close out of college or whatever.
Mhm.
And so they automatically put me in their 401k. And so when I seen what it grew to by the time I left, I was like, oh, okay. But when you leave, now you're putting it in your own traditional IRA
Okay.
or whatever. And now you have to pick which funds you want to be invested in, et cetera. So it's like, I don't know a lot. I know enough to like feel comfortable that I'm doing something because I just
Mhm.
feel like you need to be diversified and like all
Yeah.
types of income.
So this book right here is a Tony Robbins book.
Okay.
Money Master the Game. This book is probably a great book to read if you want to learn about stocks and learn about long-term investing and stuff like that.
Okay.
He does a lot of he talks, but it's more of he has interviewed several different finance guys, and it's a pretty good book. It's a boring read. It's about look like what 600 something pages. It's a boring read.
It's a textbook.
It is a very boring read. But what I will, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What I will say is, although it is a boring read, it is it's a good book to read if you want to learn something about it. And then this is another one, The Principles of Ray, by Ray Dalio. He's another financial wizard, and this is another boring read, very long book. But this one is about 544 pages, something like that. But it is a good book.
That's
So I read both of those books. Well, I'll say this: I didn't read the money book. I listened to the money book. I listened to that on Audible, but I did read the Principles book. So those two books gave me a good idea of where to kind of start and how to kind of invest and different things to look for. Also, you can read the reports. And you can read when you read the reports, what you do, the best way to do it, if you want to do it real quick,
thank you. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you for reading my mind.
real quick. If you want to do it real quick, go on. If you use Robinhood or if you use Fidelity, whatever you use to invest with, they always have a little section where they have news reports about that stock, current news reports.
Yeah.
Read the first 4 or 5 reports you see what you're looking at, see what they're doing, and see what you want to do, because that'll kind of help you start looking at the long. You can look at projections on there,
Yeah.
stuff like that, and just look at what the other people are saying about it. And the other thing I do is I watch what the big wigs are doing, because you can see everything is public, especially with the public companies. So you can see if, for instance, when at the beginning of the year when what's his name? What's our guy name that does stocks? Big well, I can't think his name right now.
I don't know who.
But,
Why you asking me?
but old guy.
Oh,
Buffett.
Bernie.
Yeah,
No,
Buffett.
don't need somebody say that.
Not him, not that guy.
Not that one.
We don't want to look at that guy.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh. I know who you're talking about because it's Berkshire Hathaway.
I do want to know what he did with all that money he got. I do want to know about that. But yeah, not Bernie Madoff, but Buffett. So
Yeah, Warren Buffett.
if you could go with Warren Buffett and you pay attention to how he's moving, like at the beginning of the year, he sold a lot of stocks off. That's for a reason. And if they selling all them stocks off like that, it may make you think about, do you want to sell your stocks off in that company that he's, if you have stocks in the same company that he has, you may want to think about, okay, maybe it's time for me to move some money somewhere and see where he's moving his money to. Sometimes they sell that stock off because they're moving it into other actual physical assets. They may be buying another business, or they may be buying real estate. Not sure, but you just kind of see where they're moving, trying to figure out what the big wigs are doing, because they typically, although that's quote unquote insider trading, they typically know what's going on. They typically know what's going on in the system. and things like that. So you want to pay attention to those guys.
Well, that's some good advice. Yeah. I think my problem is because I'm used to looking at financial reports, I
Mhm.
want to go to their prospectus and do it's like I get too far in it and it's like
Yeah, you
analysis.
know another
Like,
thing.
I don't
You know another thing. Not that it's going to give you the total answer, but you can definitely it's so much that you could do with AI now.
That's true.
You can type a script into AI and ask it to do a lot of stuff. And one script that you could type into AI is, hey, ask AI to act as a as a
A
stock
broker.
advisor,
Yeah.
stockbroker advisor or whatever, and ask it certain things about certain companies and see what it says. See what it pulls up from the internet, because this is gonna pull a database of stuff from the internet and you'll have it right there in front of you. And from
Right.
there, you know what you don't know, you could probably look up and figure out from there. I mean, at least to give you somewhere to start. I wouldn't say just look at that and be like, ooh, this is what I'm gonna do.
Right.
No, I'm saying look at it, give it a start. You know, don't copy and paste like the kids do and try to turn that in as your report. Don't do that, but you know, look at it, give you a start, go from there, and then okay, now I can figure out where I want to go from here.
So interestingly enough, I'm just going to tell you, I just don't have the time and the energy for it. So I was willing to even, you know how people reach out to you wanting to be your financial advisor?
Mhm.
I was willing to pay somebody, even though I know you're kind of giving up a lot of your earnings based on like the management fees and all of that. I'm like, well, if they can make it grow. But
Mhm.
the ones that I met, it was just interesting. They were talking about pretty much, I have a Roth IRA and I
Okay.
have a traditional IRA.
Okay.
They
You said
wanted,
you have both.
yes.
Okay.
And they wanted to like invest me in the same type of like funds for both. And I'm like, yeah, this sounds crazy. Like, no.
What was
Like,
their
why would I do that?
what was their explanation for that?
I don't even remember. It didn't make any sense.
I,
Like,
I,
there was no explanation
makes
that
sense.
was
I'm
even
just
going to
trying
make
to
sense
figure
to
out.
me.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. But because I don't. I have a Roth
Mhm.
IRA, but I don't have a traditional IRA. And my Roth IRA, when I put money into it, it goes into a EFT fund.
Mhm.
And so that EFT fund at this point, I want to say over the last year has paid out about 8%, 8, 9%.
Okay.
So I don't know if that should be beating inflation, or at least it's right
Yeah,
at
it is.
inflation right now. So it paid out good. Maybe it was 10% it paid out at. I don't know. But it paid out. It I definitely made money,
Right.
a little bit of money off of it. It's not again, it ain't like I'm running around here you know, big balling it and like that, but you know, some guys, if you can just drop a little bit of money every month into something, it grows. And I
Absolutely.
think that's the problem. You know, if I probably would have started as a kid, just dropping $20 into something every check,
Amen.
just dropping, you know what I'm saying? You know, that $20 that you would have went to my favorite back in the day was Top Hat. You probably don't know what that is.
No.
That was a restaurant in Detroit. I'm telling my age when I say that, because that restaurant has probably been closed since the 90s, since the late 90s, early 2000s. But I mean, if I would have dropped just a little bit of money every $10, $20 every check when I was
Mhm.
working at Burger King and stuff like that, then when I got a job at the plant, I could have dropped more. If I'd have just been dropping a little bit of money all the time, where my money could be at right now. So,
Yeah.
but it's never too late to start. And I think my biggest inspiration is that Kentucky Fried Chicken, Mr. Colonel Sanders didn't make his first million until he was in his 60s. So that's, you know, it's just
Right.
never too late to start, never too late to keep going.
Absolutely. It's a lot of stories like that. And like honestly, I feel the same way. It's like amazing the things that you learn later on
Mm,
because nobody was telling you that or information just wasn't as widely available. We didn't talk about it.
yeah.
But that's why I have family members that are just coming out of school and I'm like, you need to be contributing to this. First of all, the tax benefit alone, the fact that it gets to grow tax free. I mean, you have to be disciplined enough or, be aware of the fact that you can't touch it till you're in retirement without getting some type of, no, let me not even say that, because after you've had it for 5 years, you can take out your contributions tax free. It's the earnings. So it's just like good all around.
Yes.
And it's so good that they cap the max you can even put in it every
Yeah.
year. So like you
Is
definitely
it
need to,
6,000 or 5,000?
it's 7,000 for
Oh, 7,000.
2024 and 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can still make your 2024 contribution before April 15th, 2020.
Yes. Yeah. You
Yeah.
sure?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm like, that's something that I'm trying to do so bad because it's like I just put money in there, half of it be in cash. And I'm like, this is crazy because like you said, you're kind of losing against inflation. It's already designated for this. You need to put it
But at
in.
least it's in there. And
That's
you can
true.
always move it to something else. I would rather it be in there than in at McDonald's or or the bar that you about to go to,
That's
you know
so
what I'm saying, or that club you hung out at that week.
true.
I'd rather it be in there. So I just feel like if we can, if like I said, it don't have to be people feel like, oh, I can't. If you put $1 in there, it's better than nothing. You never know what that dollar could rise. You never know what could happen.
Yeah.
Not saying
But
you
it needs to be invested in something
need to
though.
be investing in something.
Yes, in there. Yes.
Every check you need to be putting. A lot of people don't, and I ain't shitting on nobody's religion, but a lot of people go and put money into churches every week, and they're not getting anything for themselves out of that. But you can put something into, if you can put something in the church, you need to take another $5 or $10 every week and put something into an investment for yourself.
No, I agree with that absolutely. It's just like how you make sure, well, some of us, we make sure we pay our bills, right? We're gonna pay our rent, we're gonna pay our water, our electric. You need to pay yourself too.
You got
And
to
like
pay.
the goal needs to be 15%. Like we
It
can't
needs,
all do that, but that's what we should be
but
striving to.
that's what you
Like
should
the
be striving.
little, right, the little bit you can contribute is going to add up over time. But
Yeah,
the better you do, that should be like your goal.
yeah, it should be, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. Like if you, like your car note should only be about 10% of your, car note insurance should only be about 10% of your earnings. Your house should be
Yeah.
another, what your house supposed to be 25 to 30% of your earnings. And if you break it down like that, it's hard to do it a lot of times because of the way that we have structured ourselves. So it's important that we start that, or get our kids to start that when they're 18, 19, just starting to work, understanding that 10% of my money need to go to this, 15% of my money need to go to this amount of my money need to go to this. And if they can do that and continue to live that way, and that they'll come out in a better way. I'm not one to think that I'm not one to sit up here and think that money solves everything, but it damn sure answers a lot of questions.
It sure do. You're gonna have a lot of problems without it. I will tell you that. One thing is, I tell people this all the time, you need it to survive. Like they charge for everything but air. And sometimes they charge that if you
Yeah.
need it for your tires.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah. So we have to figure out those things. I know you was talking about what you thought was gonna be, different things that was going on in the next 4 years as far as trying to and this kind of segue, this kind of helps us with that.
mhm.
Learning what to invest, trying to figure those things out. I think people need to really be looking into. I ain't saying they got to read the 2 books that I brought up, but they need to be looking into some type of books that they can learn how to invest in. People need to be looking into different things that they can, if they're not going to invest in something, invest into their own business, their own little side hustle. If they don't want to invest into a stock, take that money, save it up, and invest into a side hustle that they can start, so they can make extra money and have another stream of income outside of their regular job. Those are the things that we really, those multiple streams of income are important.
I agree 100%. And you talked about something about like, you reminded me of something that's called the 50-30-20 budget, because I do feel like investing is very important.
Mhm.
But realistically, a lot of people feeling like they can't invest. Like how I told you I got involved in stocks. I remember when I first got my job, my aunt was like, "You need to make sure you contribute to the 401k." And I'm like in my 20s thinking, I'm struggling. I don't have no extra money. I'm not doing that, you know?
Yeah.
But I was a temp at the company. And when I became permanent, they automatically enrolled me in it. And I didn't even miss the money because there were tax benefits involved with it too, right? You're lowering your taxable income.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you're not really thinking about these things, you're just like thinking you're broke because you don't know where your money is going. So, I feel like what people need to do is budget. And it seems like it's a cuss word, but instead of thinking like restriction, you just need to know where your money is going. And that 50/30/20 budget says that once you know like where your money is going, only 50% of it should be going towards your needs. Another 30% should be going towards your wants or can go towards your wants. And then 20% you need to save. So like even though we were talking about 15, like I would say that's a good starting point before you can do anything.
And like I said earlier, a lot of people they can't start at 15 if they, you know, you're talking about, if you're talking about a, let's look at a 31-year-old with maybe 2 or 3 children,
Mhm.
single, whether it's male or female, might not be able to start with the 20%, but you can start with $20. You can't
Oh,
tell me,
absolutely.
you can't tell me that you can't
You
come.
start where you're at.
You know
That's
what I'm
that's
saying? So I would say start with that. Every check $20. I can guarantee you that you won't miss that $20. And you can even set it up, especially with like I think Robinhood, even Robinhood, you can set it up where it comes directly out your check. I know for Fidelity, I have money coming straight out my check for that. I don't know about Webull. I had some, let me take that back. I had some stocks with Webull. I just didn't like Webull's platform. That's not a shout out. That's not a shout down against Webull. I just didn't like the way it worked. I like Robinhood better, but Webull is still a good company to invest with, and a lot of people like. I know a lot of more serious investors like Webull better than they like Robinhood.
okay.
So though, just different things that we need to be looking at and stuff like that. I was wondering, did you did you see the last couple of days the president dismantled the Department of Education?
I think I heard something about that, but
I know you said
go
you're
ahead
not.
and enlighten me. Let's talk about it.
No, I can't really enlighten you because I know he signed a executive order to dismantle it. It's still, everything still has to be approved and all that stuff. But what it made me think about was that's a number of jobs, more jobs, government jobs that are being lost. And where are these people going to work? And where's the money? Where's the money going that you say you're going to save?
Yeah.
And is that going to save us taxes on the back end? And the other thing is these people that don't have jobs now, they can't put money into the economy. And if they can't put money into the economy, how does the economy keep growing? Because now you have a bunch of people laid off, and if people can't go and spend, the economy can't grow. So I'm trying to figure out from people that's Trump supporters and financial people. I'm trying to figure out where does that flows. You know, I can see from a educator's point of view. I wish I had my homeboy on here since he is a teacher, and maybe I can get him on here next episode and see if you want
Yeah.
to talk about it. But from a teacher's point of view, where does he go from here? Because now, not that they're getting rid of schools, because they're not. They're by getting rid of the Department of Education for the United States, the federal Department of Education. That means now the states are in control. Each individual state is in control of their education
Mhm.
system, with no federal regulations. Could be good, just depending on the state you live in. I mean,
Yeah.
you in Georgia, Texas, Georgia, where I'm at, Texas. I don't know about your state, Florida. That may not be good for certain things because they're trying to wipe things out of history,
Right.
stuff like that. So it's just depending on where you at. I've heard people say stuff like, if you don't like it, then you can just move out of the state and move to another state. That's very hard. Like, just
Right.
tell people to up and move. Like, you got to get a job, you got to find
Exactly.
housing. you gotta do all that. It's just funny to me when I hear people say that like they just got the money to do that. And most of the people I hear saying that is in the same boat with me. You ain't just about to up and move and you don't have nothing else to fall back on. So most people are saying that they work at a job and they don't have multiple streams of income where if they move, they're not gonna miss a beat. So I'm just interested in all the cuts that are being made from what we talk about, which is finance or point of view, a real estate point of view, and just even a life point of view. Like what are these people going to do now for work?
Yeah.
I see a lot of people that were not Trump supporters saying, this is what y'all get. And I see a lot of people that are Trump supporters are like, there are a few of them that's like, hey, this ain't what we was thinking about. Like we ain't thinking about this because it's hurting them now. And they seeing that it's hurting them because it's taken away from things that they taken away from their livelihood, taken away from their so we'll see where it goes. It's not a surprise to me. I'm not shocked by it. It's what I thought would happen.
Really?
Yeah. I was one that said it. It didn't matter who won, that the economy was going to take a tank anyway. I believe that anyway, and my reasoning for believing that is because we have been on a long run from 2008, 2009, when we had that last drop. We've been on a run since 2010 upward. And normally you only get if you look in history with financial runs, you only get a good 7 to 10 years. We running up on 15. So I was one that was like, yeah, we probably gonna take a financial hit. This next couple of years may be pretty tough. It may be what is needed to correct some things, because I mean it makes no sense that especially in Georgia, the average person cannot buy a home in Georgia.
Yeah.
A single family 2-bedroom home in Georgia in the Atlanta area is too much for the average one person to buy by himself or by herself. So you're talking about people are not able to buy homes. They got to go buy a condo or find a townhouse or rent. And that's taken away from the American dream, quote unquote American dream. But forget all about the American dream. It's taken away from the ability to buy a property and use it to create generational wealth down the line. If you do the right things by it. I know a lot of people say, oh, property don't necessarily start generational wealth. It does if you do the right thing.
Who are these people? They don't own property.
It's people that own property that be talking crazy like that. I know people that, I don't. There's you have these internet gurus, and I'm not trying to be an internet guru. I'm giving basic information about stuff that I know, and trying to get things out. As DJ Jazzy Jeff would say, I'm trying to empty myself before I leave this earth. So the things that I know, if I could put them out, I put them out. The little nuggets of wisdom that God has given me and other people have given me, and the people that's around me have placed in me, I'm trying to put it out there if I can. But there are people out here, there's those gurus that swear, if you buy a house, blah, 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 all this crazy stuff. And I'd be like, stop it. Stop telling these people that, because those people own houses. But yes, they own houses, and then they may rent the house that they live in, but they only doing it because it's a tax write-off for them. The average person, that's not a tax write-off for them.
No.
And yes, can you find ways to write off your apartment in your taxes? Yes, you can, but
it's not gonna be much.
It's not gonna be much. The average person is not gonna do it right, and they're gonna have an audit on their hands. So it's just for me. I'm all into, if a person can buy a house, buy it. People be waiting on interest rates to go down. I'm like, you can wait. But the longer you wait, the longer it's going to take you to be making that equity on the house that you could have had.
Exactly.
And the money that you're putting into somebody else's house when you're renting. So
Right. Just look at that money that you put into that apartment or whatever you're renting as the interest that you don't want to pay for your own.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
hey, it's whatever you like.
So,
I mean, so I have to say that sometimes because it gets frustrating. You just have to let people do what they feel is best for them. And when
mhm.
they're ready, they'll be ready and you can just hope for the best for them, that they're not priced out of the market. Because like you said, right now, that is a lot of people's reality.
Yeah,
The homes around you and the areas that you want to live in are out of your price range because interest rates are where they're at, which is dang near double what they
yeah,
were a few years
yeah.
ago. And
And
they're
the
most
interest
likely
rate,
not going back down.
and the interest rate ain't even high as it's ever been in history. I
Exactly.
mean, in the 80s, you're talking about 17% interest rate on home loans. But these houses are very expensive now. So you put in a very expensive house with a very high interest rate, well, not a very high, but a 5-6% interest rate, 7% interest rate, depending on where your credit is at. Yeah, I can see how that's expensive, but you got to figure out a way to make this happen. There's programs out here, NACA.
Yeah.
Um, um, in Atlanta, you have the West Side Future Funds program where you can buy a house in the Atlanta area.
Mhm.
You have if you're a firefighter, you have or first responder or police officer, whatever, you have the first responders programs that they got out there.
Yeah. That includes teachers too, I think, right?
I think it does include
Yeah.
teachers too, and teachers actually have another. There's other programs just for teachers. You got the USDA program for
Mhm.
in that's in the rural area that could be used as quote unquote farmland.
And
Um,
the thing with the USDA is their income limitation. So it's like when you feel like you might not be able to afford it because of your income, it's
yeah,
like, no, you might actually be
yeah,
the person
yeah.
that can afford
You
it,
are the person that goes for it because they're
with
looking.
zero down.
Mhm. And then there's a lot of cities around the country where if you're looking to get into investment and you can get a loan to fix the house up,
Mhm.
you can get homes for $1,000, right at $1,000. Start the auction starts at $1,000. So and you can go to those land bank authorities in those cities. Detroit is one of those cities. I knew a couple other cities. I just don't want to say them right now because I knew them and I don't know them right now offhand.
Yeah.
But Detroit is one of those cities.
Detroit been one of those cities.
Yeah, it
Like,
has been.
honestly, I was
Yeah,
like, I ain't from there, so I can't live there. But if I do it.
yeah. And I mean, that's even if you don't want to live there, that's property that you could buy and start working on and renting it out.
Right,
You can start
true.
having money coming in that way. It's just so many things that you can do out here to make more money,
Yeah.
and things like that. So and if you go on YouTube, there's people on YouTube always teaching you ways to figure out a way to make more money. There's a lady on YouTube right now for social media in general. Her name is Cody Sanchez. I listen to her a lot. She is another guru, but and she does sell a program. I've
Mhm.
never bought her program, but I will say she does give a lot of information on how to do certain things. If you bought the program, I'm quite sure you probably would get more information and
Yeah.
maybe get the actual websites. But she gives you enough information that if you go digging, you can find the rest of it out yourself without having to pay her. And I'm not trying to take her money away from her, but she is a person that buys businesses. She goes and finds small businesses and buy them.
Mm,
She'll go out kind of like people do wholesaling.
yeah.
She'll go out and look for small businesses and say, okay, there's a laundromat. Let me go talk to them, see if they looking to sell. And a lot of times, if she find out they're looking to sell, she'll buy the business, and it's an already established business, already has clientele. And because it's already established business, already has clientele, the Small Business Administration is willing to give you a loan quicker for it
Mhm.
because it's already a business that's established, and you don't have to. You're not going in there trying to build anything. You already got a business plan together because it's their business plan. And a lot of times, I've seen I've seen some that I've looked up where the people are trying to sell the business because they're either trying to retire or they're trying to get into something else, and
Yeah.
they'll say on there, "Hey, I'll stick around for 90 days to help you run it and help you get it off the ground. I already have this in place, this in place, this in place that I just want to get out of it." And
Yeah.
those are businesses that you can look at and be trying to figure out another way to make money. different franchises. Franchises are hard though, but different franchises. I'm gonna tell you one franchise that I would not invest in. Just me personally.
Which one? I want to hear it.
I know a lot of people make a lot of money from it, and people probably gonna laugh at me when I say this. But I sat in on a Chick-fil-A.
I knew you was gonna say that.
I sat in on a Chick-fil-A meeting for their franchise, and I sat there and I listened to it. And don't get me wrong, I think Chick-fil-A has a great business model. They make a lot of money, but I realized that if you franchise with Chick-fil-A, you don't own anything.
Yeah, but I mean,
okay,
what is the negative?
You have created yourself another job.
Just because you don't own the assets doesn't mean I mean,
you don't own anything. So my main question was, if I died, could I give it to my kids? No.
Okay.
I can't.
I mean, I can't. But is that normal with the franchise that you can
send normal. That's not normal. Most franchises, when you own the franchise, that's your franchise. That's your business.
So you're just licensing like their name and their branding or something?
Their name and their branding. And you do have to live by their rules as far as what stuff you can sell and stuff like that. But normally, like if something happened to you, they don't come in and take it over. That you're essentially doing a long-term lease on a business with Chick-fil-A where you don't own it. You can say you're a business owner, but you really are an employee of Chick-fil-A with your name on the franchise. And
they call them operators.
You're an operator. You're not the owner of that business. And so I didn't like that. And again, I never try to tell people what to do or anything, or I'm not trying to shit on Chick-fil-A because I eat at Chick-fil-A. I like their food. But I would not buy a franchise from Chick-fil-A. Like I said, I sat in on a meeting. There were some good things that I like because they do help you a lot.
Yeah,
they help you a lot because in the end, if it don't succeed, they're just gonna take it over anyway.
Right. And so, I think the investment is only like 10,000 too.
It is. It's only 10,000, but there's a reason why it's only 10,000 because they're gonna put everything else in, and you like I said, you don't own anything, and they are expecting you to work there. So do not think you're going to start a Chick-fil-A and you're going to have another job. You're not. That's going to be your job, and you're going to be there running it. And they want to see that you're there running it. That was things that they said in the meeting. And so, like, if you're looking at, I'm gonna start a franchise, and I'm gonna have people in place to run it. I'm gonna bring managers in. Yeah, I'll be there at the beginning, but I'm gonna get managed. No, you're gonna be there. That's gonna be your business. And yeah, eventually you probably will get to the point where you can work your way out. You may be making enough money where you can pay everybody and it'll pay out. But I want to say, even when it's all said and done at the end of the year, whatever they put in at the end of the year, you make the end. So after all your bills are paid, let's say the end of the year, I'm just gonna throw a number out there. $1 million was made by the business at the end of the year. If all your bills added up to $900,000, then you will make the $100,000. That's all you make.
Okay.
So it's still because you still got to pay them, and you still have to pay yours. So they were saying a lot of times those first like few months to a year, those business owners sometimes don't make money either, because what ends up happening is Chick-fil-A will just pay them. Pay them a salary to run the business, to operate the business. So that's why I say I will give Chick-fil-A that. They're not gonna just let you go broke and let your house go. They will look out. They're gonna look out for you. But once you make a profit, your profit for a year may only be $60,000.
Oh wow. That's a lot of work. You go get a job.
That's what I'm saying. You to put $10,000 into this thing. Yeah. And you're there working. You're there working long hours. So it's got to be something you really want to do. And you got to really believe in that Chick-fil-A model to do it. I knew once I listened to it, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna stop doing what I'm doing full time to go.
Right.
This is not what I want. So I left that alone. Look into some other things that I've seen. I don't want to talk about it on here, but I've looked into some other things that I've seen, and I mean everything's legal and everything is legit. Ain't no crazy stuff with it. But I just don't want to talk about. I don't want to give all my ideas out. So
sometimes you got to pop out. You can't talk about it, right?
So I'm looking at some things, and hopefully in the next year or so, I can get a couple other things started to where those can be popping off and making some money. Yeah, yeah. So
yeah, it's smart to look at a franchise because I will tell you that is like the number one, my biggest challenge. And I have some other friends that are on their entrepreneurial journey. The biggest challenge is when you can do it, but you have to build the business. You have to do the marketing. You have to do the clients. And like sometimes that's not your strong point. Like you don't even want to do that. Like I'm just used to helping people. I'm used to people like at the most having to interview for a job. Like having to sell yourself every day.
Yeah.
Come on now.
You do have to sell yourself every day if you're gonna do that. I'm trying to look up something real quick because I wanted to. I know we talked about movies last time, but
All
I thought
go ahead.
I thought this movie, The Founder, that's the name of the movie, The Founder.
That was McDonald's.
It's about the McDonald's. I think any business owner, anybody should watch that movie. He was an asshole. Don't get me wrong. He did them boys wrong. But just his vision, his drive, was amazing. But not in the end, he was an asshole. He did them boys wrong in the end. But then I just heard another story about Taco Bell and how that got off the ground.
I used to love Taco Bell, but yeah.
So this was an interesting story because there was this guy. He had a burger joint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had a burger joint. He had a little burger joint, and it really wasn't popping off, just making a little bit of money. He was struggling, and there was down the street from him. There was a Mexican restaurant that basically, this is in the 50s or 60s or whatever. So it's a Mexican restaurant, and they basically selling tacos, selling street tacos and stuff like that. And he was going down there. He was loving it, going down there, and the family owner of that taco place saw him and gave him the recipe, told him how to do it, what to do, and told him to sell it at his place. And he went on to create Taco Bell. And that family restaurant is still that family restaurant. It's still open to this day. But they never, but he went on to make millions after that man gave him that. And it didn't sound like that he, again, same thing. It didn't sound like he went back and was like, hey, thanks for starting me off. Here's this money. It ain't like he did that.
Nope.
He started the business and kept it moving.
That's how they'll do you sometimes.
So I was just like, man, that's crazy. But I just came across that story about a week ago. I was looking at, I was like, man, that's interesting. I had never heard that story before. But it makes sense because I remember when Taco Bell used to sell them little burgers. Them little they would put the taco meat into a burger before they started really doing soft tacos. They used to have little burgers. I'm telling my age.
Look, I was about to say that like we ain't the same age. That's what like maybe you were just eating it before me. Like
that was a long time ago. But they used to do that. Like they used to have a little put it in a burger, and I wouldn't eat it. And I remember when they discontinued it, I was so mad because that was the only thing I would eat at Taco Bell. And they discontinued and started doing the soft tacos. And then I started eating soft tacos. I didn't like hard tacos back in the day. I don't have a problem with them now, but as a kid, I didn't like them.
Same. That was my thing. 3 soft tacos. Like every time I went there.
3 soft tacos and a Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
3 soft tacos and Mountain Dew. But yeah, I think people should watch The Founder because I do think it does tell you, it does give you some insight into how business people think.
Yeah. Okay.
And how treacherous they can get.
I know.
Yeah. So
It's so many challenges with it. Like sometimes you think like, why am I doing all of this? Because you start because you want to be the thing, or the thing that you feel like is missing, right?
Mhm.
Like I want to fill this void. But you can't do everything. You still have to collaborate with other teams, other companies, whatever. And then it's just like the world is different now. Communication is different now. Things are different, and you
Yeah.
just gotta adapt to it if you want to survive. And it's finding new ways to say things in the same basic way, but in another basic way that somebody else might understand.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm finding that now because I remember watching Max Maxwell and the Flip Man and all these different people on the internet when I first started looking into real estate back in well, I ain't gonna say that wasn't when I first started looking to real estate, but when I really started like studying it in 2017, they were on there and they were telling you how to wholesale and stuff like that. And that was around the time when they started changing all the wholesaling laws because, again, I always say when black people figure out something, the rules will change. And so they start figuring out, okay, well, they start having all these different states start doing different wholesaling laws. You couldn't do so many wholesales without some type of certificate or some type of certification or whatever saying that you were a wholesaler. And so a lot of people started just going in, which was one of the reasons why I went and got my real estate license, because I knew that I couldn't do some of the things that I wanted to do in real estate without that real estate license, because I thought they never really changed laws here in Georgia, but I thought that that's what normally when they start changing laws in California and Texas and it just goes across the, it just ends up going across the country like that.
Right.
So I thought they were going to change. I know they changed some in Illinois and Iowa. They changed some of the laws on people being able to do wholesaling and stuff like that. And so, but I just noticed now, just getting back into looking at YouTube and looking at how different people they set their stuff up and things like that for the future, for things that I want to do in the future with this show. Just looking at how different people do things, I'm like, man, there's a new crop of gurus that's coming.
Yeah.
So just looking at those old guys that took off from COVID, they're starting to phase out now and get old, and you're starting to see the new group of people come out, and it's just interesting to see that. But somebody always gotta they saying the same thing, they're just saying in a different, more whatever way it is for them to say. And be honest with you, I'm not saying nothing that's different. You're not saying nothing that's different.
No.
The information is out there. It's just sometimes people need to hear from different people.
Right. And they need to hear it from people that know what they're talking about too, because that is one of the things that I have with gurus when they put these videos out where they're like telling half of the situation and then people go out duplicating it and it doesn't work for them. And they look like they're successful, but it's like, they're successful because they're selling.
Oh man, I almost said somebody's name. I ain't even gonna say their name.
No, you don't do that. We're just talking in general.
It's just a bunch of people that do that. I remember really like 2021 to about maybe 20 all the way to last year, the middle of last year. Stuff started dying down after that. But I remember everybody, you got to make this play. You got to make this play. You got to do the play right here. You got to make that chase play. You got to make that Navy Federal.
Exactly. I just told my friend that I was like, when you hear the play is like, that's when you already know. Like,
it's to get people put in jail. That's what you about to do. You are trying to get people put in jail. Stop it. Stop telling people to make plays. I remember I heard somebody tell, you can go and you can get a car loan from Navy Federal, and I ain't gonna say because I can't remember the dude's name and I don't want to say his name, but I remember him saying you get a car loan from Navy Federal and take that money that you will do for the car loan and put it into this stock, and when the stock rise, then you take the money out. And I'm like, I guess, but ain't that getting a loan under false pretenses? Can't you go to jail for something like that? Like, can't you get fined for something like something is not right about that? I'm like, you telling people to do stuff that's not right, and then you tell them to do stuff that's not like. What if they go into the stock and the stock drop?
That's what I was gonna say. The stock is one of the riskiest investments. That's why I'll be so
like he said, put the money into something long term that was gonna grow over time. He like telling them to put them into a certain stock that was supposed to rise. And I'm like, what if that don't happen though? What if it goes the other way? And now they just lost $5,000 that they still got to pay back.
True. And then what about, because see, this is the thing I'm kind of fuzzy on, but if a lot of people buy the stock, then doesn't that make it valuable? So the person that's telling you to buy it, they know when to like exit. So
Yeah.
it is a play. You just getting played. That's what you don't know.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that part of it too. And there are things like I remember 50 Cent saying this in his book. It wasn't Get Rich or Die Trying. It was another book that he had out that I listened to, and I didn't read that book, but I listened to it. But it was something he said in there that he said he was like, how do you turn 100,000 to 200,000? And he was just talking about, he said, well, if I had $100,000 and I needed to turn it to $200,000, I would put the $100,000 in the bank, and I would take that. He said, and once I put it in the bank, after about 15 days that it's been in the bank, I let it sit there. And then he said, I'll go back and I'll get $100,000 secured loan. Now I have $200,000, which makes sense, right? He not getting a loan based on nothing else. He's securing it on the $100,000 that was there already. And then he went on to say some other things about taking that $200,000 now going to another bank and putting it in there. And now you could pay off, you start paying the other one, but while you got that money in there, let it sit for a few weeks and then draw on it, get another loan. And I got what he was trying to say.
Okay.
But you have to have so much discipline to do that. And the average person that you're telling to do that does not have. He's a businessman. He's made all his money from rapping. Now he's making all his money from the TV shows.
Right.
And from everything I could tell just from listening to his story, he's a very disciplined guy. You wouldn't think that because he's so damn silly on Instagram, but even in his book, he says that's all just a play. That's just a persona.
Yeah.
So he can get people to follow him and stuff. He knows what interests people.
Yeah. And he can be both, he can share it like.
But I could tell that he's very disciplined in the way he does things, the way he moves and stuff like that. And so it gave me a newfound respect for him reading the book. But I remember that, and I remember him saying that, and it made me think about them cats talking about do this play.
That's probably where they got it from. Didn't even understand it and just repeating it.
Man, I was like, these cats out here telling people to go and steal money, basically.
Yeah, because it's interesting. I have people that like send me videos like that. Like now they don't, because I'm very straightforward and I'm like, stop sending me stuff that's supposed to be profound, because it's not. And I'm like not impressed, right? But it's like you sit there and you think about like, but what is the point? Because like what you was talking about with what 50 is doing, or did, he probably did that because he knew he was like, let's say, trying to go into production.
Yeah.
So he had a purpose for that and a plan.
For the money, he had a plan. Also, 50 Cent, when he probably was doing that, and he might not even did it, but if he was doing it, and it may not have even been 100,000, it might have been $1 million. I might have just said 100,000 because that's what my brain probably could process at the time when I was listening to it. But I want to say I really want to think he said $1 million. But the thing was that he's playing with millions. He's going to the table with millions. You know what I'm saying? Like for somebody like me, I probably could go in there with a couple $1,000s and say, okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
And play it that way and get a personal loan. And the thing about getting the personal loan, what he was saying too was that it'll help you build your credit. So he was doing twofold purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm creating money out of nowhere. I'm creating money that I don't have, but I'm also building my credit so that I can go to other places and get more money and then use that money to build what I'm trying to build.
Right.
But these cats,
most of us, it's kind of like the other way around. You need the credit to be able to like get access to like the whatever. Because like how you said, you might be able to get a couple. When people talk about the Navy Fed and all of that, those little quote unquote plays, they will give you the money. But if you're not going to pay it back, you're not doing yourself any good. So, if you have the credit, and then a lot of times you don't even really necessarily need the credit if you are doing it under your business, right? Even though a lot of people or companies are going to ask you to do a personal guarantee. And if they do, then they're going to want your score to know that you do have the ability to pay it back or the likelihood of paying it back.
Mhm.
But you kind of need that to be able to leverage credit, like to use other people's money to make money if you don't have it. Like, can you imagine trying to save your way to like $100,000?
No, you
Like,
can't.
right.
You gotta be able to leverage money. It's the same thing in real estate. When you make your first deal in real estate, the average lender is going to want you to put 10 to 20% down. There is a few lenders out there that will do 100% deal for you, but if you have to come to the table with something that they can look at and know this is going to make money just like that.
Right.
Once you make that first deal, though, it's your credit. Once you make that first deal and it goes through, every deal after that, you got lenders trying to give you money after that.
And is this when you're trying to invest in real estate, not just
Yeah,
the purchase, right?
not
Okay.
just the purchase. This is an investment. This is hard money loans,
Okay.
private lenders, and stuff like that. But they have a network too. And so when they see that you have put your money in, and he put that money in, and he did right by it. Okay.
Right.
And so now the next, show me your last deal. When you can show the next lender your last deal and show it how it went, that's what you're looking for. I'm gonna say this one thing because we were talking about gurus and we're talking about these different things. This is just for anybody that's listening. If you online and you hear this guy or this girl or whoever talking about they know how to do these things and everything, before you buy their product, make sure that they can show you an actual deal that they have done, or more than just one. They should be able to show you numerous of deals that they've actually done, that they've actually completed. They should be able to show you where they made mistakes at. They should be able to show you where they succeeded at. They should be able to show you all of those things, because if they can't, then they're probably not a guru. They're probably somebody that just learned the stuff from watching other people's videos, and now they're selling their own video. And so you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that these people know exactly what they're doing. I remember a person told me, "Hey, you should start doing videos." I was like, I don't have enough deals under my belt to do a video. I ain't made enough mistakes to do a video and be trying to sell it. I'll do a free video. I'll get on here all day long and let you watch me on YouTube and tell you, hey, you should do this, you could do this, you should call this hard money lender. I could do that all day. I'm not going to tell somebody to go do something that I have not done a number of deals on and then try to sell it like I know what I'm doing. That's just my tidbit, because I have bought products from people. And as I was in the product, I was like, "This, I know this shit already."
Yes.
Like I'm like, they not telling me some shit I don't know already. Like,
Nope.
wait a minute. And so then I'm listening to it, and then I just remember one day as I'm sitting there, we're doing our weekly phone call that you get in this business. So I'm going on the phone, and I'm like, hey, is there any possible way you can send me some paperwork from some of your transactions? And it became like crickets. Like, well, we don't. Okay, all right. So it let me know then, like, you don't have, because if the deal is done already, what's the problem with showing?
Right. And if you part of their
You
team
can
and
read
their
that stuff,
network,
but you can read that social security numbers and addresses and stuff. I just want to see the numbers. I want to see what numbers you use, what companies you use. I want to see some signatures to see if the deal, if you actually had some signatures on a deal that went through, because I'm paying you a lot of money to be in this program, and I feel like I'm learning the shit that I already knew. I could have did this shit on my own. I don't feel like you're giving me anything that I didn't know.
low key, that's why I don't buy any programs anymore. I bought a couple,
Yeah. I think a lot of
like kind of access, and I appreciate it, but I'm good. Like,
yeah, I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people do that. I think they, I'll even say, even with EXP, when I was when we were with EXP, not saying that the people that they had being the mentors and stuff wasn't but you could sometimes, some of the mentors that I would talk to other people, our mentor was good. I still talk to her to this day. But I've talked to other people whose mentors really hadn't sold nothing. And so it was almost like they was teaching each other how to do shit. and I'm like, or if they had sold stuff, they necessarily wasn't good at it, or they weren't good at teaching what they learned and stuff like that. And
no, that's real. You do need to research your mentor. So look, I don't, this probably never would have came up, but like I actually researched our mentor.
Okay.
Because I was waiting for one to be assigned. And so I like reached out, I talked to her, asked her some questions, and she told me exactly how she worked. Because when you're coming from corporate, you know what kind of style you want. And you don't know what you're kind of getting into.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she was good. Because even when I sold my property and things that I was thinking about doing, she was like, no, we're not doing that. And it was a good deal. So
yeah. No,
I'm glad that I did that research and got a good one.
Like I said, even to this day, and maybe we can get her on here one day, and we can talk, it would be good to talk to her about.
I need to reach out to her because like I'm a loan officer now, like, and I know that was her background, and I think she's doing that now.
I could just sit in the background and listen to y'all talk about loan.
Look. We can both sit in the background because I need to learn. Okay, I'm newly
and so we have to get her on here because she definitely a wealth of knowledge and has been in the game for what 20-30 years now.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, I think she was over 20 when we was messing with her, and that was 4 or 5 years ago. So she got to be 25-30 in.
Okay, but yeah.
What?
Say that because she don't look like it. Let me stop.
No, she don't. No, not at all. Not at all.
And then I'm gonna be real with you. That's exactly why I went with her too, because I was like, all that experience being a new agent, I was like, yeah, because like I came straight from like the license, the Prometric.
Yeah.
As an EXP, I had already did my research, everything. I was like, I'm leaving this place licensed if I pass. Ain't no inactive, right? Like,
I like I said, I got with. Why did I get with EXP? I can't even remember why I got with EXP. I think I was looking it up, and it looked like what I could do because of my actual W-2 job. I knew I couldn't be in nobody's office every day, and I was like, I need somewhere where they're gonna let me have some solidarity, and on my own, let me have my own stuff. I wanted to get with a team at EXP. That was the one thing I did not like about EXP was that they were very territorial in the way they did teams and stuff. And they felt like if you couldn't, they wanted you to quit your job and and stuff. It was like, I got too much invested in my job and done too much to my job. Like, what's wrong with you? And I'm not really doing this. I never was really doing real estate to be a real estate agent. I was doing it to learn about more real estate. I like being a real estate agent. I like helping people buy houses and stuff, but the main goal always has been to get my own properties, eventually get into apartments, and eventually get into developing. So that's always been the main goal.
It's funny you say that because I became a realtor because of my same thing. I said, the next time I go through this, I want to be able to negotiate on my own behalf. Yeah. And then as I started learning, then I just wanted to be what I didn't have for other first-time home buyers. But it's so hard for them right now. I'm like,
I didn't like sitting at tables with investors or people that were doing deals and not knowing what they were talking about, not exactly kind of knowing and part of learning the real estate, being an agent helped me to learn the terminology, what they were talking about, what they were doing. And I was like, okay, yeah, this will work out better for me. So yeah. Well, we have gone over an hour, Sacha. So we're gonna let this go for the night. We're gonna get on with Kim and see if we can get her on here soon.
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. So Sacha, tell the people how to reach you.
Ramsey.
You gotta tell the people how to reach you.
DM
at S Spice.
Oh my goodness, you're gonna make me have to like really re-up on my my posting, right? I need to get into it, get consistent.
S Spice Realty on IG. And it's Realty. It's a play on words. It's a play on words. REALTEA. Realty. S Spice Realty.
I need to just start putting it in my my what is it called? In my name, right?
Yep. Reach me on IG at Randy R. Graham. And from there I have a link, and you can go to my link page, and you can see all the rest of the stuff that I have going on, from books to music to real estate. You can see all that stuff going on there. And we thank you for joining us again. We will be back in a few weeks. All right, Sasha, I'll holler at you in a minute.
All right. Bye.